Hello and welcome to the morning sports briefing here on Wednesday, the 19th of August. In the news today, Champions League semi-finals kick off. We have the North versus South squads announced, plus some news on the Rugby Championship and Lions Tour. We have a 4-game ban for Procter, Telstra U-turn on sponsorship. South African women can't travel. That is rounding up all of the important sports news to help you start your day the best way here on New Zealand Sports Radio. And kicking off with that football, Leipzig versus Paris Saint-Germain, so the German team versus the French team in the Champions League semi-final is kicking off right now. We'll obviously give you score updates during the at the end of the show, but also give you the results tomorrow. Don't forget also that tonight is Sydney FC versus Western United FC in the in the A-League, in the final game of the regular season before we hit the finals. And I'm going to hand you over to Ashwin now. He's going to take us through our cricket update.
Good morning, Paul, and good morning to all our viewers on the interweb and listening whereabouts. And welcome back to the CPL. In this year's edition of the CPL, Guyana Amazon Warriors have taken on the Trinbago Knight Riders. And it looks like rain is following cricket all around the world, with the start delayed and the game reduced to 17 overs a side affair. Again, thanks to the rain. When the game did get underway, the Amazon Warriors got through to 144 for 5. Shimron Hetmeyer scoring 63 off 44 balls for the Warriors, and they were in early trouble after losing a couple of early wickets there. As expected, Narayan was the pick of the bowlers. So that's Sunil Narayan picking up 2 wickets and only going for 4.75 runs per over. Narayan then opened up the innings for the Knight Riders, scoring 50 off 28. The Knight Riders got through to victory in the final over, although with a little bit of a scare. Needing just 5 runs off that final over, they lost a wicket with 3 runs to win, finally sealing the deal with 2 balls left and finishing on 147 for 6 against the Guyana Amazon Warriors, 144 for 5. So congratulations there to the Knight Riders. Australia will be reverting back to a traditional one vice-captain model. Australia's ODI captain, Aaron Finch, was the driving force between returning to a single captain, looking to streamline on-field decision-making. Australia went to a dual model for vice-captaincy on the field against Pakistan in 2018 when they were playing them in the UAE, as they rebuilt after the ball tampering scandal in South Africa. In IPL news, and they finally got a naming rights sponsor with Dream 11 bagging the title sponsorship. They picked up the naming rights for $30 million US. Only a little chump change in the old pocket there. As Paul's mentioned in the old headline, South Africa have declined to take up the ECB's invitation to tour the UK in September. CSA, that's Cricket South Africa versus Cricket Australia, so it's Cricket at South Africa, have made the decision due to travel restrictions in place in South Africa, not the travel bubble issues in England. So that's obviously on the back of the COVID-19. And David Milan and Chris Jordan have been named in England's 14-player squad for the T20 series that will be going on after the test matches against Pakistan. Both of them have recovered from injury and will be coming back into the squad. And that, Paul, is our cricket news for today.
Thank you very much, Ashwin. And yes, if anyone would like to get naming rights to the morning sports briefing, I'm sure that will be much cheaper than $30 million.
Although we'll take 30 mil.
We're not going to take it now. You're quite right. And don't forget to join Ashwin and the team on Thursday evening at 8 p.m. for Swing from the Hip for your weekly cricket fix. And I'm going to hand you over to Stephen, who's going to take us through our birthdays.
Yeah, thanks for that, lads, and good morning to everybody tuning into New Zealand Sport Radio. A wild, windy morning here in Auckland, but the birthdays still roll on. A rugby player who made his name in sevens, a dynamic rugby prop who could easily be mistaken for a back, and the man labelled a Super Sid, and that's where we start this morning. Sydney Milton Going, MBE, born this day, the 19th of August 1943, is a former New Zealand rugby union player dubbed Super Sid by his fans. He played 86 matches, including 29 tests for the All Blacks between 1967 and 1977. He represented North Auckland back then domestically. In the 1977 New Year's Honours, Going was appointed a member of the Order of the British Empire for services to rugby. He retired from first-class rugby in 1978, but continued his involvement with the game, coaching Northern secondary school teams from 88 to 92 and being selected coach of the first-class side from 93 to 1996. Moving right along, Alex Fido, born at this day, the 19th of August 1997, is a New Zealand rugby union player who plays for the Hurricanes in the Super Rugby competition. His position of choice is prop. He is well known as the X for his ability to slice through the back line like a hot knife through butter. And finally, Dallas Seymour, born this day, the 19th of August 1967, in Tokoroa, is a former New Zealand rugby union footballer and rugby sevens player. One of New Zealand rugby sevens longest-serving players. He played in the national team from 88 through to 2002. He made a brief appearance as an All Black, playing three tour matches in Australia in 1992. He is married to former Silver Fern captain Julie Seymour. Very happy birthday to both Sid, Alex, and Dallas for today. Back to you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Yes, and yes, Sid obviously goes down as being, a lot of people say he is the best scrum nine to play for the All Blacks ever. So, yes, for those of you who don't go back that far, most of us don't. Yeah, he's up there around Aaron Smith. Well, I'd say people say he was better than Aaron Smith. So there you go. And moving on. Controversial there by.
And he's a Northlander, remember?
Yeah, that's a really big call. I love Sid to bits, but I guess for his time, yeah, you'd probably have him up there as one of the greatest. But I think as we go into the professional era, oh man, I better leave it up there. I'll never get left back into whangarei ever again. or should I say, there could be a roadblock at Muramaku, which is just north of whangarei where the going farm is. So, no, sorry, you're not going through. You didn't support our boy. Anyway, Paul, back to your rugby.
So in the rugby, yes. In the North versus South squads were announced yesterday, and it's the headline is Barrett versus Moanga at 10. But there are definitely some notable players not mentioned in this one. Luke Jacobson misses out. The 23-year-old is the only player from the original Rugby World Cup squad to be omitted from the match. Lachlan Bashir got selected ahead of him from the Chiefs. Look, it's clearly more of an All Blacks trial match, and is all set up for getting the All Blacks ready for the upcoming international season. There has been no official news around what the international season might look like, but there is still talk of 2 Bledisloe Cup games before the Rugby Championships, be those in Australia or in New Zealand, and also the Rugby Championship happening here in New Zealand in its entirety. There is apparently talk that the teams could be based in Queenstown. So maybe for their 14-day quarantine or for the whole tour, we don't know. But that's what some of the talks are. Staying over here, and congratulations to the Blue Supporters for Life Facebook page, who have reached 5,000 members. Well done, Paul Alexander, who is the guy who runs that, and getting that page out there. So if you're a Blue supporter, get onto that Facebook page and help support the boys. Moving on to the Lions tour, and we've had recent news that is still going ahead with the original dates, but the South African Rugby CEO, Jury Roux, has come out and said that that it could be postponed if travel restrictions are still in place. Look, essentially, the Lions tour is not commercially viable without the tourists traveling. But he has added that their travel advice, and this is a quote, is that June, July, we should be at what is deemed to be normal international travel. But we are monitoring it on a monthly basis. Traveling for international events will likely still be under more pressure than pre-COVID. Well, yes, I think that is fair to say. Do join us on Mondays at 8 p.m. for the Driving Wall Show, when we will give you your rugby union fix, going through all of the off-field issues. And we did discuss on Monday our Super Rugby Aotearoa 15. So you can go back and listen to that on our podcast. Just search for New Zealand Sports Radio on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, and all those wonderful pod catchers. I'm going to hand you over to Stephen now, who will take us through our sport that keeps on giving.
Oh, that it does, Paul. Good morning again, everybody. In league news this morning, the Warriors team for the Bulldogs game named Proctor banned for 4 weeks, and Telstra should be sponsored by Firestone because they've done a big U-turn. But we'll start with the Warriors team for the Bulldogs game. Training injuries have ruled Patrick Herbert and utility back Adam Kagrin out of the Vodafone Warriors 15th round match against the Canterbury Bulldogs. Training injuries, which basically happened, Vodafone Warriors 15th round match against the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs at ANZ Stadium on a Sunday, 2 p.m. local kickoff time, 4 p.m. New Zealand time. And remembering that's at the ANZ Stadium, Herbert, who scored 3 tries in his last 2 outings, tore a hamstring during today's training field session, and that probably sees him gone for the rest of the season. While Keegan is set to make his comeback from a knee injury, was out after a heavy head clash in the team run. Vodafone Warriors interim head coach Todd Payton has shifted Adam Pompey out to the centres to the right wing, while Hayes Perham comes into the centres for just his second appearance this season and the 4th of his career. There's also a forced change in the starting pick with Isaiah Papali replacing suspended Eliasa Katoa in the second row, and mid-season signing Jack Murchie being brought into the playing 17. That full team is from fullback captain Tuivasa Shek, Pompey, Perham, Heku, Jennings, Nikorima, Chanel Harris, Tavita, who I've been very impressed with in the backs, Tainoa Brown, Lawton, Lachlan Burr, Papa Lee Harris, and Tavanga make up the playing 13. Staying with Warriors news, well, it's great news for the Warriors. Telecommunications giant Telstra has made a sensational U-turn in its decision to force out the Warriors' main sponsor less than 24 hours after it was revealed that Vodafone would not be permitted to sponsor the embattled NRL club after the season. As first reported by the Herald and us yesterday, the move was sparked by the NRL's enactment of an exclusivity clause which protects Telstra, the competition's major sponsor, from any competition, and was set to cost the Warriors at least $1 million per season. Vodafone has been the Warriors' naming rights sponsor for 22 years, but would likely have been forced to walk away from the club at the end of the season, despite still having 2 years on the existing contract. The NRL's decision prompted a public outcry on Tuesday. However, the NRL legend and new Warriors consultant Phil Gould warning that rival clubs would back the Warriors in any dispute with the NRL. There you go. Let's have it. We thought there would be a bit of a reaction. We just didn't think it would take 24 hours. And finally, New Zealand international forward Kevin Proctor was found guilty last night of biting an opponent during a national NRL game and was banned for 4 weeks. The Gold Coast Titans captain was the first player sent off by a referee for biting in the NRL, which was established Australia's top-flight rugby league competition in 1998 after video reviews on his mouth on Cronulla 5'8" Sean Johnson's arm during a tackle in the 56th minute of last Saturday's game in Sydney. Johnson reacted angrily on the field but told an NRL judicial panel on Tuesday that on reflection he didn't think it was deliberate. which probably means that was still a bite at the end of the day. I know he came out straight away in later interviews and said there was nothing in it. They were friends, all that. But I suppose once you've seen all this on video, basically the NRL was probably seen to be doing something about it, and that's exactly what they've done. Back to you, Paul. More league news tomorrow morning. I'm sure there'll be some more league news here tomorrow morning, because there always is league news, whether it's on the field or off the field. That's your alarm. Yeah.
That's the truck. That's the truck backing up. That's the Telstra truck and the Sean Johnson truck backing up.
I thought that was your alarm clock, setting the alarm clock by a league story coming out.
And yes, a big good evening to all our listeners over in Europe and viewers in Europe. Hopefully you're enjoying news from the other side of the world. Don't forget also that at 8 p.m. this evening, that's New Zealand time, we will have the Standoff Show, where Brad and Sanjay will take you through all of the NRL news. They'll review last round and preview the upcoming round, as well as talk about all the hot topics in league this evening. Moving on then to the NBA, and the first round of the finals has kicked off. The Nuggets, Raptors, Celtics, and Clippers have all gone up one game in their in their competitions, and we are currently, the Magic are playing the Bucks and are up 78-70. Later today at 10:30 a.m. the Thunder will be taking on the Rockets. Obviously, the Thunder with New Zealand's own Steve Adams in there. If you want to get the lowdown on all of the finals action, then do check out the basketball show, which went live last night at 8 p.m. That's every Tuesday at 8 p.m. We have that show again. Obviously, you can go back and watch that on our Facebook page. There is lots of good game highlights that Daniel has edited for that one as well. And going back to the football, just to catch up on the game between Leipzig and Paris Saint-Germain. It's 13 minutes in, and Paris Saint-Germain are already 1-0 up. We'll obviously bring you the results of that game tomorrow, folks, because that's right. The morning sports briefing comes to you at 7 a.m., 7 days a week. So do join us for that. If you do enjoy a minor sport or sport that doesn't get much coverage, then do let us know. We do like to give all sports here in New Zealand as much coverage as we can. So if you have any news about curling, bowls, hockey, etc., then please do send it through to us, and we will give you some exposure here on New Zealand Sports Radio. You have now started your day the best way, up to speed with all of the important sports news. See you tomorrow, folks, and have a wonderful day.